you know I'm not the most gentle guy.
Everybody, again, thank you all for being here today. And I mean that thank you in a real heartfelt way, because that's what I'm going to be talking about today, gratitude and giving thanks. Thank you all of you who are watching on the live stream, and thank you all of you who are watching on ACIM Gather. So it is November, and November is the month when we have Thanksgiving. So it is a month of gratitude and thinking about gratitude and expressing gratitude. Woo! And I think the world and our culture and society gives us this little window of opportunity to be really grateful. We have a lot of permission to be grateful right now. Not that we need the world's permission. We should always be grateful. But I like to utilize the world and open those windows of opportunity and feel the cool breeze of life coming in from that window. That the world gives us these real practical moments. I talk about them every so often. And I want to give a pretty practical talk today too, because I think we can get kind of abstract about gratitude, and that's fine, but I want to get really practical about gratitude. I just want to give thanks for a lot of things. Gratitude is a very common subject in A Course in Miracles. I did a quick search, and the words gratitude or grateful appeared over 125 times, which is quite a bit. And also, if you just look at thanks or giving thanks, that seemed to appear even more. I didn't count all of those. It was a huge long list. So the idea of gratitude and giving thanks, it's real common. It's very important. It's talked about way more than the birth of Jesus. So in some ways, it's more important than celebrating Christmas. The resurrection obviously is a big deal. So celebrating Easter is a big deal. But really celebrating gratitude, I think, is almost more important. It's more practical. It has a more of a profound impact on our lives. So in some ways, I think Thanksgiving is the most spiritual holiday. And you think about what we do on Thanksgiving too. We get together with family and friends and we share a meal. It's just a time to be practical, to be grateful, and to share that, and to be that, and to feel that spiritual blessing for that. So I'm grateful for so many things. I'm grateful that this is, actually last week it was, and this is like the year anniversary for us to be in this wonderful space here at 25 Van Ness Avenue. And we've been here over a year now, and I love this space. I love that I can drive up here and get parking just about every week. Almost every single week I park right around the corner. It's really an amazing blessing. And I want to thank our minister, Reverend Vincent, who's listening on the live stream. Thank you so much for doing what you needed to do and you did to get us here. I'm grateful for this week because with David's help, we got the 392nd issue of Miracles Monthly in the mail. And that's a pretty incredible accomplishment. 392 issues in 392 months. And we were a little short-handed this month because Reverend Steve and Reverend Ducelthea were both out of town. They help us sometimes. And didn't have another volunteer. I did a pitch for volunteers. Nobody showed up. And that's okay. I'm grateful that I had David there. And I'm grateful that David was able to work 2 consecutive days to put it together. And I had a lot of fun working with David. And David turned me on to some new music this week. And I'm grateful for that because I get caught in my classic rock and roll and I need new music every once in a while. And he turned me on to Imagine Dragons. Oh, Imagine Dragons, they're pretty good. And then when I listened to that Imagine Dragons Pandora Station, then there's another group called One Republic. They're really good. So I've been listening to new music. I'm so happy. I'm so grateful for that. I'm so grateful that David has agreed to work regularly in the CMC office. Garrick is not quite able to do that with school and his move and the distance he has to travel and other things going on in his life. But David was there and willing and is coming in. And the way that worked out was just miraculous. So thank you, David, and thank you, Garrett, for all that you do and continue to do and did, and just grateful for all of those things. You know, on our ordination certificates, there's a little inscription from A Course in Miracles that says, I am among the ministers of God, and I am grateful that I have the means by which to recognize that I am free. So being an A Course in Miracles minister of God does not mean that you are always fully aware that you are free. So people are looking for that. I don't really think that's what the teaching is leading us towards. However, what the teaching does lead us towards is that we always know how to return to freedom when we get caught in ideas of capture and slavery and fear. Then we have a means, we have a technology that will bring us back to freedom. And that's what being an A Course in Miracles minister means, being an A Course in Miracles student. We are grateful we have the means by which to recognize that we are free. We're always free, we forget, we lose sight of it, and sometimes we have to recognize that. It was a challenging week, had a tremendous amount of work to do, and I got caught Monday in thinking that I couldn't possibly do all the things, all these important things, commitments that I had to do. And I was talking to one of my students, and and she said, you seem a little troubled. She goes, what's going on? And I said, I just keep having the thought that I have more work to do than is humanly possible. And then I immediately got the thought from the Holy Spirit, and I said, I guess I'll just have to be superhuman. And I knew that was true. And I somehow knew that all the work would get done. So, one of the things that we had to do is, or that I had to do, is I had to complete the second quarter bookkeeping for the CMC, which is April, May, and June. And that encompassed our Boston conference. So there were a huge number of complex, unusual transactions. And I got that done. And I'm happy to report that over the second quarter, the CMC's equity, our net worth, increased by over $11,000, which is huge. So, that was really good. We had to get a contract signed for the 2021 conference, not next year's conference, the year after next. And the plan was to go to Washington, D.C. We've been in negotiation with hotels in Washington, D.C. The first negotiation fell through. We got into a second negotiation. And we were negotiating with a Marriott in downtown Washington, D.C. We had been given a deadline by the Marriott to sign the contract by October 31st. They give you these deadlines so that they give you these incentives, these concessions, these perks. So if you sign it by that day, it'll mean more money for you. It'll cost you less. But these contracts are very complex and difficult. And there's so many different aspects to them. And it's 12 pages long, fine print. You just gotta, and I'm really grateful. Reverend Kelly helped tremendously in that process. And we got the contract signed. I had lots of talk, hours of time with the sales manager at the Marriott. And so this is my first official announcement of that. 2021, Washington, D.C., May 27th through May 30th. It's a great contract. I actually think it's one of the best contracts we've had in a long time. I really got to thank Reverend Kelly for a lot of that, because she was so instrumental and really helped me go over it so that I felt much more confident and secure actually signing it. I'm grateful to Dana, who was our sales manager, being so receptive and willing to keep talking to us a lot as it got to the clinch. And I was talking about windows of opportunity. Sometimes the world gives you little windows of opportunity. The thing to remember, to know about a 2021 conference in Washington, D.C. is we will be doing publicity and enrolling for this right in the heat of a presidential election. So everybody in the country is going to be thinking about government and Washington right while we're enrolling for Washington. So it's this little window of opportunity that the world gives us, and we're just like, we synced right into it, and I'm grateful for the world to giving us that opportunity, and I'm grateful to the Marriott, and it's just wonderful that all these things are happening. And another thing about Reverend Kelly really helping me with this one. This is the first time she's ever been involved at this level of the contract negotiations. And one of my goals or, plans for my work at the Community Miracle Center is I have to make myself, I can't make myself so instrumental and so key that the organization couldn't get along without me. And so the important things that I do have to be able to be done by other people too. So I feel confident now that if she had to, Reverend Kelly could negotiate a whole contract for a conference on her own. That's a big thing that we do. It's not totally dependent on me. I'm grateful for that. I want to witness that and acknowledge that. That's been a huge goal of mine for a long time. So one of the key things that I do, I'm not the only one that does it anymore. And that's just really amazing. And I think we have to get into that idea that the world is really supporting us. And the world is really helping us. Gabrielle Bernstein had a book a couple of years ago, says, the universe has your back. The universe has our back. The universe isn't working against us. The world is not working against us. The world is supporting us in all of these ways. This month of gratitude, support from the world. The presidential election is going to support our rolling for the conference. And we need to develop this friendly energy with the world. And so often we feel antagonistic to the world, or we feel the world's antagonistic to us. That's a misperception. We need to let go of that. We need to move beyond that. The Course says, no longer is the world our enemy, for we have chosen that we be its friend. So we have to choose to be friends with the world if we want the world not to be our enemy. We think the world's our enemy, the world's working against us. That's because we're not being friendly enough with the world. So I'm grateful that I have that awareness and that I can keep moving forward. The third major thing I had accomplished this week was once I got all the center's bookkeeping done, I had to do the absolute bookkeeping for the conference itself, which is another whole set of transactions and reports, because I had promised all the presenters in Boston that I would give them the bookkeeping, the very detailed accounting, because we do a profit sharing with them, and I don't know how much profit to share with them until I actually know what the profit is. And we were late doing it. It's been 5 months since the conference. Actually, I think it took us 5 months with San Francisco too. But I'm really happy to report that we did make money at the Boston conference. The CMC was able to take about a $24,000 management fee. That's pretty substantial. It's over a year. That's $2,000 a year. Now, that's not enough, but it's because of the management hours, Reverend Kelly's and my job and what we do. But it's something. That's pretty good. And that left us enough profit so that we can distribute $30 for each person that the presenters enroll. So if they enroll 15 people, they'll get $450. They get $30 per person they enroll. And we've told them that. I'm really grateful for that. I'm grateful that I got it done. I told them a couple weeks ago, I absolutely commit to you. I will get it done by the end of October. I kind of kicked myself for saying that afterwards because I was really pressured, but I did it. I got it done, and on November 1st, Kelly and I reviewed it, and then I transmitted it to them, and I'm grateful that it worked out, and I'm grateful that I did it on time. I'm just showing you, just think of the wonderful things that are going on in your life. Just be grateful. A couple of weeks ago, a supporting member from Portland, Oregon visited us. She was here, Judy Kelly. We went out to the vegetarian restaurant, Ananda Ferrar, afterwards. So she stayed actually at Reverend Peters in my apartment. And before she left, she turned to me and she goes, your apartment's kind of amazing. She goes, it's hard to believe that you've lived here for 33 years and that 3 men live in this apartment? She goes, it's so clean. She goes, it's so uncluttered. And I said, well, at least the commons area is. Yeah. She goes, no. She goes, there's nothing on your bathroom sink. We have a big bathroom sink. She goes, there's nothing on it. I said, yes, there is. There's a soap dispenser. Yeah, she goes, but aside from the soap dispenser, there's nothing on it. How do you do that? I said, we don't allow anything to be on the bathroom sink. That's the house rule. You don't put anything, leave anything on the bathroom sink. She goes, I don't know how you do that. Anyway, but it was just great. It was a great compliment from a house guest. And you know, those things can kind of come and go and you don't think about them. I'm grateful that she gave us that compliment. You know, I think we can be grateful for these particular events, these things that happen. We can be grateful for more cosmic things if we want to. You know, the divine love of God, that's great. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for all those things, but sometimes just the expression of gratitude just works for me a little better and a little more practically if it's just the day-to-day stuff that you think about that. And that's a reflection of that divine love of God. So it's all the same. But yes, of course I'm grateful to God, and I'm grateful for my life, and I'm grateful for the extension of life and love and peace that the divine keeps channeling into me all the time. And that's important, because the Course says, in gratitude to God becomes the way in which he is remembered. This was in the reading that Garrick read. And love cannot be far behind a grateful heart and thankful mind. So we need a grateful heart. We need a mind that is thinking of thanks all the time. This is a good month, good window of opportunity here, because that's how we'll experience love. Because love is not far behind a grateful heart and thankful mind. We got workbook lesson number 195. Love is the way I walk in gratitude. A lot of people like to quote that one. It's a great lesson. It's a little, that's an abstract idea. I don't really know how to walk love. Love is the way I walk. I mean, fast is the way I walk, or slow, or clumsily is the way love is the way I walk. But I know what it means. You just walk in an attitude of love, with your consciousness of love, and you're grateful. Love is the way I walk in gratitude. In other words, if you're walking through life in gratitude, you will experience love, and you will be walking in love. So, you know, gratitude is just so important for us to feel blessed, for us to feel loved. And we need to be grateful for the things, and we need to understand that that's a reflection of our gratitude for the divine. And A Course in Miracles tells us why it is so important to be grateful to God, to be grateful to the divine. And it says, it is insane to fail in gratitude to one who offers you the certain means whereby all pain is healed and suffering replaced with laughter and with happiness. So that's why it isn't some abstract, complex idea of why we're grateful to God. We're grateful to God because God gives us the means to heal all our pain, to heal all our suffering, and to replace all our sorrow with laughter, with happiness. You know, when I learned as a child about gratitude, when I learned about it from my parents, let's say, or they reflected the ideas that I had. You know, my mother would see somebody who was suffering. Maybe they'd see a person who had a deformity or who had a limb cut off. And she would always say, there but for the grace of God go I, which says, you know, I'm so grateful that that's not me. You know, and that's a pretty messed up way to be grateful. But that's what I learned. You know, you see poor people, oh, thank God that's not us. You see people that seem to be, oh, thank God. You know, so I mean, I had that idea of gratitude, but A Course in Miracles is really clear that that's not the way it wants us to think. And again, this was in the reading that Garrick read. This is a little longer. It says, gratitude is a lesson hard to learn for those who look upon the world amiss. The most they can do is see themselves as better off than others. And they try to be content because another seems to suffer more than they. How pitiful and deprecating are such thoughts. For who has cause for thanks while others have less cause? And who could suffer less because he sees another suffer more? Your gratitude is due to him alone who made all cause of sorrow disappear throughout the world. So it's not just for our blessings that we're grateful for the blessings that are for everybody, and everybody is blessed, and sorrow is being removed from the entire world, not just from our lives. One final thing I want to be grateful for. I'm grateful for Reverend Deuce Althea Ramasirse, my intimate partner. We're going to have a 28-year anniversary in a couple of weeks. So whenever anybody talks to me about relationships and yada yada and Course in Miracles and whatever, you know, I said, I've got a 28-year intimate relationship and we're fine. And we've never like broken up and gotten back together or anything. We've had some issues, but you know, been pretty solid and steady. And I really am grateful for A Course in Miracles that it's given us both the frame of mind to enable us to do that. You know, we achieve that relationship as friendly and supportive and loving as it is because we have the A Course in Miracles technology and thought behind us to enable us to just always walk with love in gratitude with each other. A Course in Miracles says, it can be but my gratitude I earn. So all the gratitude that we have, that we express, we're just strengthening that gratitude muscle. This is the month to do it. You have abundant opportunity to do it. The world gives it to us. Let's take it. Let's open that window of opportunity and let's be grateful and express gratitude everywhere, anywhere. Let's kick it up a notch. And I'm grateful for all of you listening today. Amen. That's it. Thank you.
Woo! Preach.